Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my friend Trace. So my wife and I, we met Trace through a friend, one of my sons, Joel. He was needing just some help with speech therapy, and Joel sat in a group session, and Joel really liked Trace, and we really liked what he was able to do. So we reached out to him for our services, and over the past 2 years, Trace and I, it wasn't just Trace with our son Joel, but Trace and I have become friends, and so I think he's got a lot to share as we're in this series called The Purpose. So Trace, I want to just talk to you as you share with the church today. What do you see as your purpose, and how did you before we get there, what do you do, and how did you get to where you are today?
So I'm a speech language pathologist and owner of Therapy Builders with my wife Carly, and we provide in-home speech therapy as well as now occupational therapy and physical therapy services for children in need. So we're a pediatric company, and this will be going on our third year now. And so we started. It was kind of an interesting. We actually met in college, going to school together for speech pathology. And I originally went to school to play football. I didn't really kind of have an idea of what I wanted to do, and I thought I wanted to do something, and they didn't have that major at that school. So I went back to the drawing board, and my mother's actually a speech, therapist, speech language pathologist, and she said, "Well, why don't you try speech therapy? That's what I do." And I said, "Well, I've never known what you do." Yeah. So she said, "Come shadow me." So I went and shadowed her, and I thought it was pretty cool. It looked like she was playing games and playing with kids all day. So I'm like, "Hey, I can do this." And the rest is history. So fast forwarding, we relocated to Arizona because my wife's from Canada and her family has some ties here. So we relocated here, fresh start. I was tired of the snow. We're from Minnesota originally. She's from Canada. And then I worked in the schools, and I also did some home health. And I realized there was such a huge need that, there needs to be more home health agencies. So I said, well, I don't know how this is going to look, but let's try and start our own thing. And so that idea was probably 5 years ago. Okay. And now we're finally starting to see the fruit of it.
Okay, great. So you started wanting to play football.
Yep.
And then you're in school and you were telling me you wanted to do graphics design, but the school didn't have that.
Right.
So what about speech therapy made you want to do that?
So I've always had a passion for working with kids. I was a babysitter. I was a manny in college. So
I don't think I've ever heard that word.
Yeah, I made it up, and then it came, or I thought of it, and then I've heard it in Modern Family. They use that term, and I was like, hey, that's my term. But it was a glorified manny, and then I've always had a passion for helping others and seeing them succeed in life. So I actually thought, hey, maybe I'm going to be a coach. My father's actually a college football coach.
Okay.
So I kind of had both my parents, their purposes, and kind of took and molded what I thought was mine. And it started with football, and then it transitioned into speech therapy. So it went from my father's passion to my mother's passion, and now it's my purpose.
Okay. And so if you were to define your purpose in maybe one or two sentences, what would you say your purpose is when it comes to being a speech and language pathologist and what you're doing now?
So our goal or our purpose, as an agency with Therapy Builders, which started out as mine, as I was the only therapist at the time, was to provide individualized and specialized, at the time, speech language services to those in need with speech deficits. And so we've kind of morphed that a little bit to encompassing all of the therapies, and we really want it tailored to the individual, and we want it specialized, and we want it evidence-based to help increase their overall quality of life.
I know for us, we found value not only in you helping our son, but also being almost like a mentor to him, because it was speech is one avenue, but there's so much to a young person that's changing their life. So I see your purpose as a business, but for you at the core, what is it that makes you do and wake up every morning to do what you do? What is, at the end of the day, what is it like? I'm doing this.
That's a great question. I love just impacting lives and making a difference and seeing that difference, whether it's speech related or another sector of life. So I love being able to see that transformation and knowing that at the end of the day, I had maybe a little bit of impact to help spark that transition.
So how has your faith impacted your work? How is your faith and your love for Jesus, and then the work that you do and your purpose in that? How have you seen those two lining up and helping you with your purpose even more?
So I think just leading by example, and seeing how Jesus led by example, and not always I don't always have those opportunities to say, "Hey, I'm a Christian," but I do have those opportunities to subtly let people know that I am a follower of God and Christ, and once they kind of know that, then it puts the expectations back on me. Like these are like the standards, and I'm kind of holding myself accountable, but it also allows me to be able to, once I've established that, to express my faith and to be able to help impact others and lead their faith journey and let them open up about faith too, and it gives a good opportunity, especially in the workplace.
That's really cool. I know, like, you and I have had lots of opportunities because you'll have people in that have shared with you some heavy stuff, that, and their faith base is, it's like once you get into somebody's life, it's like you're making a difference not only in that young person's life but in those parents' lives. And tell me sometimes where God has opened doors, and I know maybe there's HIPAA laws and all that stuff, so you've got to be careful. But tell me where maybe God has allowed you opportunities to share your faith to, because they see how you've done with their kids, and all of a sudden, like, they trust you. I don't know how much, if you can share.
Yeah, so that's another great point that you make, is we have to establish rapport and develop those bonds and relationships, because us as therapists, we are going into the client's home, and that is a personal, we're in their personal space, so we have to develop those relationships and let them know, hey, you can trust us with your child, and you can trust us in your home. So once those relationships formulate, it gives a great opportunity for them to be able to express what's going on in their lives just outside of speech therapy or the other therapies. So a couple in particular, there was a death in the family, and they just came to me, and I was like, I am not equipped for this. However, I believe that they trusted me, and they needed something, and I might not be able to solve that problem, so to say. I'm a problem solver. I just want to solve everyone's problems. Or my wife will come to me and talking about something, and I'm like, all right, here's how to solve it. And she's like, I just want you to listen to me. So it's really helping me just be a listener, and then be able to process it and allow my faith to take over. One thing I've been working on a lot lately is, instead of saying, well, I'll pray for you, it's like, well, why don't you just pray for him right there? And that's been very uncomfortable and getting out of my comfort zone, because I've never been open to that. But just having that kind of mindset of being uncomfortable and pushing yourself to grow a little bit in your faith allows them to grow as well. So that's just one little example of where I just took it and kind of ran with it. That's and then cool. Was able to provide some resources.
So one thing you had said to me earlier is your purpose is making a difference in people's lives. And so not only are you seeing that opportunity of making a difference in a young person's life, but even in families, like you're affecting all those around you. It's really cool. So last week, everybody met Rob Street.
Love Rob.
Now tell me, so you and Rob now have a relationship. Tell me how Rob is able to help you to even fulfill more of your purpose.
So Rob I met Rob through Jeremiah, actually. I remember we went for coffee, and one of the questions you asked me is, what's your purpose? And I said, I don't know. And you said, well, why not? And I was like, oh, okay. And then you said, hey, you need to meet my friend Rob. And so I connected with Rob, and Rob's just a great guy to just grab a coffee with and just, talk to.
Yeah.
And he was able to just implant, some ideas in my mind. One of them that was really great was, do you want to be comfortable or do you want to grow?
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's good. Do you want to be comfortable or do you want to grow?
and that shook me. I was like, and now the word comfort or being comfortable is like, it's like mediocre to me. It's like, I'm uncomfortable when I hear the word comfortable.
Yeah.
I never want to be comfortable in my personal life. I kind of have the 5 pillars of what I stand for, and it's faith, family, finances, fitness, and then friendships or mentorships. And you can kind of change those however you want. But if I'm comfortable in any one of those, foundational pillars, something's off. And Rob kind of really brought that out in me.
So I know in your meetings with Rob, one of the things that he talked about, you being comfortable, and that, or do you want to grow? And so you want to grow. You want your business to reach and to make differences in many lives, instead of just, because you can only impact a few. You only have a limited amount of time. You have 3 kids, correct?
Yes.
And you have a wife. You have 2 boys and you have a daughter.
Yeah, 4, 6, and 8.
So they take a lot of your time. So you know that you can only impact so many lives outside of your own family. So today, in today's sermon, I'm talking about pruning and how sometimes we have to cut good things so that we can do other things better. So how has what Rob has opened up to you, what are some things that you've had to prune? And I already know you've had to, we've pruned us.
Yeah.
We know, like, my son, Joel, loves Trace, but now Trace pruned us something good. So this is the last time Trace and I will ever talk. Just kidding. But so tell me about that whole process and how you evaluated it. And I got more questions regarding that.
So it wasn't a matter of what to do. It was how to do it, because like you said, we've established those relationships and those bonds. So it was kind of like tearing a Band-Aid. You don't want to do it, but you have to do it. And one of my mentors said to me once, you know what you have to do, just do it. And that is uncomfortable, because you're right. At the end of the day, you know what you have to do. It might, it might be uncomfortable and painful at first, but it's something that's necessary.
This is why. Why is it necessary?
Well, because for me personally, I could be mediocre in a few things, or I could be great in, being what I need to be in terms of a leader for our team, and also for, being the face of the company. I didn't want to be a mediocre therapist. I didn't want to be a mediocre business owner, and I didn't want to be a mediocre leader. So I'm trying to, instead of being mediocre in a bunch of things, I want to be great in one. And eventually the idea is for that greatness to be able to spread all those other things and level up people and other therapists to be great, because I don't want them to be mediocre either. I want them to be great, and I want to be able to give them the tools to be successful in terms of, those 5 pillars essentially. And I couldn't do that if I was in a juggling act.
So for you specifically, what did you have to cut?
So I had to stop my caseload, which was very uncomfortable, because a lot of these families, like you're very well aware of, we've established those relationships. Certain children with disabilities, especially autism, change is very, very difficult for them. So, some of the kiddos I've had for 5, 6 years, and it had to be transitioned to another therapist to take on. So, not only that, but just my roles in the company too. I was trying to do everything on my own, and we had to hire other staff to help take on those roles, so I could be the very best leader that I could to help our entire team, instead of, again, just be there juggling or drowning, trying to push everyone up when that isn't the right kind of leadership role that I need to be in.
So what fruit have you seen now?
So since I made that decision, we have quadrupled in size.
Wow, and that's only been in a few months.
Yes, that's only a couple months. So again, it's like a fire hose, and I'm trying to drink out of it. So it's a great problem to have. We've been able to impact hundreds of more families and kiddos with disabilities, and we have been able to now, before we were mainly in the valley, the Phoenix, valley, and a little bit of Tucson, and now we're in the entire state. So we're able to provide in-home services to kids all over the state who are in need of services, and hire on more therapists. Like I said before, we're getting into occupational therapy and physical therapy as well. So the whole idea of just uplifting everyone. Our staff now, we have made improvements on creating a sense of community and culture, and giving them the tools to be successful with their own caseloads.
Wow, that's awesome. So Trace, you're you're young in your business, but you're seeing great things. We've got people at City View that are younger. I just met a lady last week. She just started her own business, like over in COVID. You got people who are in their own business, yet they're drowning like you. What would you say to someone about why it's important to know your purpose, and what kind of people do they need to have around them? Because one thing you talk to me about all the time is like you have mentors, you have people. You and I'm one of your mentors, and you and I meet. And so first, let's look at you have a person in the audience right now, and they're wondering like, I want to fulfill my purpose. What would you say to them about how can they do that, and what's some wisdom that you've gotten on how you've gotten to where you are?
Well, to fulfill it, first you need to know what your purpose is, which I didn't know what my own purpose was. In order to identify my purpose, I identified 7 core values that kind of made up what I believe in and what I stand for. So that started off with, I don't know, maybe 30 values, and then I narrowed it down. Okay. And so once I kind of established those values, I looked at it and saw what if I could turn that into like some sort of like a sentence or a mission statement. Yeah. What would that look like? So I think it's just first knowing yourself and finding out what kind of makes you tick and what you're passionate about, and then from there just living it out and not giving up. It is a grind. It is hard. Like I said, this has been 10 years in the making, and we're finally starting to kind of see it through. Yeah. And at the core of all of that, you have to have your faith, and you have to have God first. In 2018 was when I really, decided to put God at the center instead of having all these other things being taken over, whether it's, those other pillars. Exact. Yeah. I put faith as the main pillar, and all the other pillars go down next to it. So once I really established that and kind of gave it to God, I know as cliche as that is, that's what really changed things. And also waking up each morning with a fresh mind, whether good or bad yesterday, today's a new day, and it's time to really get after it. So those 2 mindsets have really, helped move us forward.
And so, and I also wanted to ask you, so you have Rob, and he's like a business coach to you. You have a friend at another church, and he's like a mentor to you. Me, I'm like a spiritual mentor to you. So tell us why you have those people in your life, and why it's important for anybody here today or anybody watching in the future. Why is having those people? I say it all the time. I have a counselor, I have a coach, I have all these.
Yeah, Dr. Bob, right?
Yeah, Dr. Bob. Yeah. So why do you have those people in your life?
So I think it's really important to have those people, and that's one of my pillars. I say friends, but really it is mentors, because friends are just things you have in common with other people. Watch football, or maybe it's your wife's friend's husband that you're kind of forced to hang out with. So I like mentors and mentees to overall help you on your journey. There's so much wisdom, and there's a lot of people that say, it's great to make mistakes because you learn from them, but I'd rather have someone else make the mistake and then tell me about the mistake they made than me experiencing it on my own. So I do also like, win or learn instead of win or lose, because everything is
win or learn. That's good.
Yes, everything is a learning experience. But if you have other people who are in your corner to bounce those ideas off of, and to be able to share your thoughts, that really just helps you grow. And the friends kind of are part of the pruning process. Yeah. Are they helping in any 5 of those pillars or not? And if the answer is no, you might need to really evaluate your inner circle. Yeah. I like mentees because it also allows you to grow as a leader, and to be able to take that fruit that you were given from your mentors and pass that along and to also, again, watch them grow and develop and overcome obstacles. So, and it's always good too to have someone roughly the same, at the same stage in life that you are, maybe not the same age or the same, socioeconomic status or what have you, but someone who you're in the trenches with that you can really bounce ideas off of and be there for you when you do need someone. So I think mentors are one of the most important things you can have, whether you're in high school or you're 70. Mentors are important.
One thing one of my coaches tells me all the time is leaders are learners. So not only do we need to be learning, having somebody ahead of us, but we need to, some of the best ways to learn is also to teach and pour into others, because then you can apply it even more. And that's great. Trace, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we finish up today?
Well, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. It's been great, and I love always talking with you. I would just say, to someone out there who, maybe is struggling with even just their purpose in life, is to really just sit down, find your core values, make a list, and then from that, kind of make your own mission statement. And some people are called to be leaders. Some people are called to help, assist leaders. Some are called to be business owners, and some are called into the workforce. But I would align what your work is to your purpose. And at the center of your purpose, it should be your faith, and that will help be the beacon or guide you along the path of life. Because like you said last week, there's storms that are going to hit, and if you can take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, because you're always going to be taking a step back, that will help traject you into where you need to be. But the faith has to be the center.
Wow, thank you so much, Trace. I appreciate your time today, and let's continue.